Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Friday at 4 podcast series. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Hanging in there. It's been a challenging week, but you know, hanging in there. Yourself?
So we all have challenges. Um, and I forget who said this because I've heard this from many different places and people and stuff. We all have the challenges. We all fall down, but
Yeah.
it's how you get back up that counts. And do you
Yeah.
get back up? And again, it's
Yeah.
not going to be easy, but the key is not to stay down.
Yep. Rocky Balboa.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I live by him, man. I tell you, Sylvester Stallone's got it best. So, well, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Ants Army, their vision is a future where every young adult transitioning from foster care feels supported, valued, and equipped to lead an independent and fulfilling life. Through continued support, advocacy, and partnerships, we strive to create a world where every young person aging out of foster care has a strong foundation, a sense of belonging, and the tools necessary to build a bright and stable future. So visit antsarmy.org to learn more about them.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing organization. I got to tell you.
You gotta listen to the podcast. Yeah, very, 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 very good. Um, Great story. Um, Kind of sad, she lost her daughter, but she's carrying on a legacy with this foundation. It's really cool. Yeah,
Wow. Hmm.
yeah. So, so what you got today?
No, not too much. Give me one sec. I'm putting in my phone number here, which I forgot to do before. So sorry, folks. I'm a little slow today. Okay.
516-727-2294. That's how you reach Steve.
And that is the right number. Okay. We won't get there. Okay. Anyway,
Yes.
come on. It's a
Anyway,
Friday. We're allowed to do this, right? Okay.
it's a dismal Friday at that. Oh,
It is here in New York. It's been pouring all day today.
yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, it started early here, pouring. It slowed down a little bit now, but yeah, it's definitely been an interesting Friday.
well, the good side of all this rain is that hopefully some of the dirt that's on my car will come off.
Some of the
Because it
dirt.
is really bad. The birds decided to take a
Pummel.
liking to my car, and it is not pleasant. So I'm happy for the
Oh
rain. But
man.
anyway,
Yeah, great.
um,
It's a free car wash.
there you go. I just
There you
actually
go.
what I should do is run out, soap it down quick, and let the rain take it off. That's a
There
great
you go.
idea.
Yep,
I'll
squirt.
wait. I will wait though till we're done here. Then I'll go out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
we'll pause. Go ahead. All right, Steve's
Okay.
back.
Okay.
Oh, ready.
Oh man. But what I thought we would kick around today really impacts both individuals and businesses. And it's kind of been out there for a long time, but I think in the challenging times we live in, it's becoming more and more of something that everybody has to do. And that topic that I want to go over today, with you is multiple streams of income. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why, and we're not going to get through the whole thing today.
Mhm.
But let's start on the individual side.
So we can make it to part two, right? We can pick up next week with this possibly.
Depending on how far we go, we could do a part
Okay.
two.
Okay.
Um, so if we start with an individual, when I was growing up, way back when, and we won't go through that whole thing again, um, you were able to stay in your company pretty much for life, unless you did something really, really ridiculous, murder or heavy duty theft. You were allowed to stay there for life. And you had a salary, you had an income. We're not going to get into the good or bad salary out of scope, but you had an income and you were great. But starting with 87 with the crash, companies realized they could do more with less people. So now those people that thought they were there for life,
Yeah.
not so much anymore.
Yeah.
So now people had to start to job hop and job hop. And the 90s were great. You could make money hand over fist because there were more people. I'm sorry, there were more jobs than people. So they had to pay you more to get the available pool of people. And so therefore people's salaries are going through the roof. Then you had the crash of '02, the crash of '08, and all the stuff that went on. But what's happening is these days, because the economy is so fragile and because companies are cutting back, inflation is like rampant and a whole bunch of other factors, people are needing more income either to replace a lost income or to have an additional income to pay the bills just so they're not in the red every month.
Yeah.
It could be to pay off heavy duty credit cards, not because people overcharged, which some might, but things come up. And if you don't have that safety net, people don't have enough to change a set of tires if they get flats.
Yeah.
Um, they can't pay medical bills. They can't do basic things. I'm not talking going on vacation. I'm not talking new car. I'm not talking that stuff. I'm talking basic stuff to live. So
Yeah.
what it's forcing people to do is to take that second job. Some
Some people have
people,
three jobs working.
okay, so
Yeah.
you get it. But
Yeah.
if you have a full-time job, do you drive Uber at night? Do you drive DoorDash at night? Do you work in a Home Depot on the weekend? Or I'm not picking on Home Depot. I'm just as the example. Where do
They didn't
you
sponsor this podcast.
do podcast?
No, Home Depot did not sponsor this podcast. You said Home Depot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Um, getting me off track
Sorry, I
here.
threw you
Doing a
off.
great job.
I know.
But what are you doing? And I'm talking specific, general statement. What are
Right.
you doing to get that extra source of income? Because if you don't have it and you can't pay the basic bills, then comes, can you pay the mortgage? Can you pay the rent? Can you put food on the table? Can you pay the electric bill? All the things that some of us take for granted, maybe not so much. So, what is out there? And there's plenty of jobs out there. There really are. But instead of looking for the $100 an hour job or the $50 an hour job, take something for minimum wage of 20. It's not going to be the most glorious, it's not going to be the most fulfilling, but if you need an extra $100 a month, $200 a month, so work 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week. Get that extra little bit, pay down the credit card, pay off the car, because if you can do that, then your full-time gig can go much further because you don't have as much expenses every month that you must pay because the
Yeah.
part-time
So
pays it off.
yeah, so one of the problems we have here in Maryland is the minimum wage is $15 an hour.
Okay.
And that is something that is unattainable to do anything with.
Mm,
You can't survive. You can't even part-time that because by the
wow.
time you take taxes out of it and the
Okay.
wear and tear or whatever you're doing, that 15 an hour is really, it's not worth it.
Wow.
So it's a struggle. And I want to touch on that real quick just so you
Mm,
understood
yeah.
what it's like in Maryland. I know our listeners are probably all over and
Right.
they're experiencing different things, the different price of, minimum
Mm,
wage. But,
mm.
I agree with you. But finding those $50 an hour jobs, $100 an hour jobs,
They're
they, yeah, right.
they're
It's a
slim.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought this up. It's a great topic this week because I am actually one of these people who, is currently struggling. I am trying to figure out, how to push forward and get past this sticky point with the economy because it's tough right now. It's tough for all of us. We're not alone. We're all going through it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a slightly different perspective because I'm in New York and companies here are paying give or take 20 an hour, give or take. Some 18, some 22, but give or take 20 an hour. So it does go a little bit further than the 15. However, the costs are higher here. So it's really relative.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is the cost of living a little bit higher in New York than it is in
Oh
Maryland?
yeah.
I guess it
Oh
is.
yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
that's it.
It is. for a whole bunch of reasons, but it is mine.
We will get into that. That's another topic.
Yeah. But the whole point of this whole thing is, how do you get multiple streams of income? I have five. I really do. I have five. My number one, hands down, is my financial services business, but
Yeah.
I have five streams of income. So part of that is there are all the tax deductions you get for the businesses, but part of it is if one business does not perform this month, another one will. So there's always that money coming in from somewhere.
Yeah.
Am I working harder than I would like to work? Yes. I will not tell
Especially
you
at our
that.
age, right? Especially at our age.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
67. I'm going to be 68 next month. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm working harder than I would like. Now, the upside to that is I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's more tolerable. But what I've also gotten into in the last couple of weeks is I've gotten into an exercise routine. And again, I'm not going from, lifting a 1 pound dumbbell to being Charles Atlas. I'm not doing that. I don't want to go that far. But now that the weather's getting nicer, I'm going out, I'm walking more. I'm doing light weights. I'm doing stretches. I'm doing things to get my physical self back in line because you need you need the mental side, you need the physical side, you need the psychological, you need everything together. Just to say I love what I'm doing and sitting at a computer desk all day is not conducive to my physical health. So I'm
Yeah.
doing the whole thing, and that's how I'm getting it done. Um, Again, I love it, which makes it easier, but it's still a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So when you
Up
look at,
early, up late,
yeah, yeah,
sometimes skipping
six,
meals.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
up at 6 o'clock, 6:15 every morning. And there are many nights I don't go to sleep until 10, 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
And just because I get into bed and I turn the light off doesn't mean I'm going to sleep because the
Yeah.
mind is still racing. And there are
Yep.
plenty of nights that I see that clock at 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And you finally fall asleep at 3 o'clock and you're like, oh crap, 3 hours later, the alarm went off and you just got into that deep sleep. Done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Up at
but that's
4
okay.
a.m. Yeah. Up at 4 a.m. In bed I try to be in bed by 10, 10:30,
Yeah.
11. And it makes for a long day. But I tell you, I love what I do, you know, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love what I do,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
but given a choice of, okay, you're working long hours doing what you want to do, but you could also work long hours for somebody else hating what you do. So, given the choice, I'll do what I like to do. At least up
Yeah.
here, I know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a big difference because if you're not happy with what you're doing, you're going to do a really bad job and you may not be doing it for long because your performance will dictate and if you're working for somebody else, they're going to see it too and you're going to be like, "Up, time for you to go now." Then what do you got? Then you're gone.
And you got nothing.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the high level on an individual. Like what you do, have multiple streams. Oh, so before I transition out, if you like what you do and you have the multiple streams, and I started this before, pay down the credit card, pay off the auto loan, pay down the mortgage, start saving for the rainy day, save for your future. Because nobody knows, especially in this economy, whether your full-time gig, one or two of your part-time gigs may go away. And in this
Yeah.
economy, you have to have, and I've heard anywhere from 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. In this economy, you need a year, at least a year. And to get a year with all those expenses that you want to pay off is not easy. It's not.
Yeah.
But the key, start somewhere. Don't
Yeah.
keep putting it off. That to me, that's the key.
So true. I mean, you speak the truth, and I hope that our listeners, listen to this, really, take advice to it and look at what they're doing, at least look at what they're saving, if anything, and see what they can do to really get their finances in order. Write it down, track it, something.
So one of the things that I tell a lot of, and that's a very, very valid point, and I'm going to just go off on that for a second. One of the things to really do, let's assume you only have that one single income. Write down, I use an Excel spreadsheet, but you could do this on a regular piece of paper. For an entire month, and if you can do it for 2 months, that's even better. Every day, write down everything you spend, everything: food, shelter, clothing, um, gas, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, wherever, cell phone, subscriptions to Yahoo, Netflix, whatever else you have, every single thing you do. And if you can do it 2 months in a row is even better. Then take a good hard look at where you're spending your money.
Hmm.
And I'm not suggesting you stop cold turkey, but if you're eating out 7 days a week, can you do it? Eat out 4 days or 5 days instead of seven. If you go in a Starbucks, can you either cut down the three mocha lattes a day, or can you do one? You know,
Skip Starbucks and
if,
go to Dunkin'. You can save $7 a
there
day.
you go to Dunkin'. Um,
Yeah.
but every little thing that you do by itself may not be a lot, but put them all together. And
Yeah.
you'd be surprised, you may be able to find potentially hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Take that hundreds of dollars, pay down the credit card. So you'll get it done faster. Because if you don't pay it down and you're paying minimum, newsflash, you may never pay that off. And that's what the credit card companies want. They want the
Yep.
interest. They don't care about what you charged. They want the interest that you're going to be paying for life. That's what they
Yeah.
want. So beat them at their own game and put more towards principal so it starts to slowly be paid off. That will free up more money.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. It's the budget. It's easy to do. There's no cost to budgeting. It takes not even 5 minutes a day just to write down what you paid today. That's
Yeah.
it. And again,
It's true.
you got to be honest. Because if you're not honest, the only person you're fooling is yourself.
Yeah. It's so true.
You know,
Yeah. So
my
true.
phone number's on here. If you want ideas, you want hints, you want to talk about it, again, there's no cost to me talking to you. None. So if you want, let's have a 15-minute call. Tell me where you are, what you're doing. I'll give you some ideas and then go off and do.
Yeah.
You're not held to me. You're not paying me. You don't owe me anything. But if I can help you, that's the point behind this.
Yeah. Like you said, saving 20, 30, $40 a month can go a long way in a year,
It
you
can.
know?
It really
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And if you do it the right way, see, the example that I use, and I may be off slightly, but not much. When you take out a mortgage, and I've said this in the previous episodes as well, if you take out $100,000 mortgage, by the time you are done paying that off 30 years later, you will have paid, give or take, $200,000 in interest, plus
Yeah.
the 100,000 you bought. But there are ways that cost no money that you can pay that loan off faster. And it's not the two payments a month. There's other ways to do it. And if you, again, you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But the end result is the faster you pay something off, the less interest you pay. And if it doesn't cost you any extra money out of pocket, why don't you want to do this? And we'll show you how. We'll tell you how. It's
It's all
easy. It's
about saving
easy.
money and saving money.
It's all about saving.
Yeah.
One of my first managers when I started working way back when, this manager said to me something that I will never forget. And we're talking over 40 years ago, and I have never forgotten this. And what he said to me was, nobody cares about your future more than you do.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about your future. Nobody cares about your financial future more than you do.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to accept what you have, I'll get off my soapbox in a second, but if you're willing to accept what is and be in debt to the world and the big companies forever, that is
Yeah.
your choice. And I will respect that because it's your choice.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
want to learn how, because chances are you were never taught how, but if you want
Yes.
to learn how, my phone number's on here. Let's spend
Yeah.
15 minutes. I'll give you some basic, basic stuff that will help you in, like I said, less than 5 minutes a day that can
Yeah.
help you get out of debt. It's not going to be today, tomorrow, but it will put you on the path to get out of debt.
Yeah. And to tie on to that phrase you had just said, right? I saw a flag a couple of days ago when it's flying in a guy's house. I kid you not. I'll never forget this. It said, "Nobody cares, work harder." It's the truth. I laughed so hard. It said,
Yeah.
"That is the truth.
Yep.
Nobody cares about you, work harder."
That's correct.
Crazy, man. And it was
So,
flying to the house.
so
Hi, young
good.
lady.
I love that. That's great.
Love it.
And it's
Yeah.
true. It is true.
Yeah.
And here's
Yeah.
the deal with working for somebody, whether it's a big corporation, whether it's an entrepreneur that you work for, whoever it is, working for somebody else builds somebody else's dream.
Dream.
And
Yeah.
you're giving up your dream by working all these hours for just enough pay, hopefully to get by so you won't quit.
Yeah.
But what about you? What about you? I worked in corporate for 32 years building my manager his bonus.
Yep.
I got squat
Yeah.
and I finally had enough. But it took me 32 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't
It
make that
didn't take me
mistake.
long.
Don't wait that long.
It
Please
took me
don't wait
16,
that long.
man. It took me 16. I'm like, you know what, man? I ain't doing this. Yeah.
Am I working harder than I would like? Because at this point, I'd like to be retired. But
Yeah.
again, I love what I'm doing. So I'm not retiring because I have a mission that I want to do so much. But I'm building my future. I'm building my dreams.
Yeah.
You can do
Uh,
that too. You
Hey,
can. Don't let
and we
anybody
talked
else
about
down.
and we talked about my retirement, man. Traveling the country in an RV, man, running my show.
Yep.
That's my retirement. I want to get there. I want to do it.
And you
You
will.
know,
It's going
I
to take
do.
time. It's
Yeah.
and as you know, it takes time. It's very frustrating,
Very.
but you have to keep your eye on the end result.
Yeah.
End result of not working for somebody else or not working at all, taking the
Yeah.
vacation when you want to, um, spending more time with your kids and grandkids. Whatever your end game is, don't take your eyes off that target.
Yeah.
And
So
if you
true.
figure out what it's going to take you to get there, and if you can't, again, let's have a chat. I'll give you some ideas. I'm not looking to generate business. I'm looking to give you ideas. If I can help you do certain things, great. But that's not my purpose. My purpose is to educate because, again, most people are never taught certain things.
Yeah.
And that absolutely hurts people financially. And if you're never taught, you don't know the questions to ask, you don't know who to trust,
Mhm.
and you end up accepting what is. And what is may not be the best for you, but you don't know any different because that's all you have and there's no frame of reference. Open it up.
Yeah.
Think bigger.
Yeah. I love it. If you're inspired by anybody or anything, man, put it towards your portfolio of your dreams and ideas that you want to accomplish, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Work backwards. if you wanted to buy the latest iPhone that came out, just as an example, you want to buy the latest iPhone, and I have no idea what they cost because I have an Android. So let's say it's $1,000. Can't afford $1,000. But what if you said it's $1,000 and I want to get it 10 months from now? That means $1,000 divided by 10. That means they need $100 a month. Now you take a look at $100 a month divided by 30 days. I need a little over $3 a day.
I got an idea.
Go ahead.
Stop drinking at Starbucks. You got your phone.
Bingo. That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. If you went
Yeah.
to Starbucks and I'm sorry I'm beating on Starbucks, but I'm trying to give you an
They didn't
example.
sponsor us either.
I'm giving you the example. I'm not beating on Starbucks. But if you then said one less Starbucks, one less Dunkin' Donuts, one less something a day,
Yeah.
save that three and change a day
Yep.
per month per year, you've got your phone. You
Yeah.
pay
So
cash
true.
for it. So now you don't have to charge. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about paying off the charge with all the interest. Break something backwards. Start in the future and work backwards to today.
Yeah.
Break it down. That's how you can figure out what you can afford and what you need to save by the time you want that 10 months from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, whatever it is. Break it down. Work backwards and break it down.
It's interesting you say that, right? Because the average person doesn't think about, well, it's just a $6 cup of coffee. I only do it once a day. What, six times five is 30. 30 times four, 120. You're already into $120 a month.
Right.
A lot of money,
It's a
you
lot of
know?
money.
And if you put $120 a month towards a credit card to pay that down extra, that
Hmm.
credit card could be done in a year.
Depending on how much you owe and the interest
What
rate,
you
yeah,
owe.
it could
Yeah.
be done. Because you also have to remember when you have a balance on the credit card and they charge interest, if all you pay is the minimum, which is what they're asking for, you are not even paying the interest that month, the full interest that month. You're paying less because you're paying minimum payment, which
Yeah.
means whatever your balance was goes up by
Goes
that
up.
unpaid interest.
Yeah.
So, by the $120 example that Chuck just said, it may help you not only pay the full interest that month, so it's not extra, but it's now also going to take down just that little bit of the balance you owe. So now you go month to month to month, and every month you owe that slightly less interest. So then the
Yeah.
next month, you're paying that slightly more against principal, if this kind of makes sense. So you end up paying it down faster, which is the bottom line of this. You're paying it down faster
Yeah.
with less interest, and that's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
You nailed it. You know?
Yeah, and that's what we do. It's education. It's
Yeah.
education that you're not given because they don't want you to understand it. They
Yeah.
want you to be in debt, and that's I go the other way. I want you
Yeah.
out of debt.
Yeah. What I would love to see is, and I'll probably put this in the notes as well in this episode, I would love to see whoever's listening to this episode to put in the comments if they have any ideas of multiple streams of income that people could sign up for.
Right.
You know, besides Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, that stuff is just so played out.
Yeah.
I'm talking real things, something that people could do
Hmm.
that working from home or going somewhere, something that really could help people, a small part-time job to do maybe once or twice a week, or something that could really help people generate some type of multiple stream of income. It's really helped to put money towards these credit cards, these bills that we all talk about all the time that really we struggle with. You
Yeah.
know, I would
It's a
love
great
that.
idea. It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. So, again, another great episode.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to talk about more about this in the next week's episode because
Yeah.
we tend to we get so deep in these figures. So I don't know so much more you want to say from the
Yeah.
business side of this, not just from the personal
Right.
side, because we really hit the personal side this
Mm.
time a lot. I know next week we can probably talk more about the multiple streams from the business side.
Right.
I know
Right.
you have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
So we'll probably make a part 2 of this on next Friday.
Yeah,
What do you
we
think?
could do that.
Good idea.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm open.
Love it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, there you go.
Good stuff.
Love it, Steve. Another great conversation.
Yeah.
Everything
Yes,
you
Chuck.
say always resonates, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming
Yeah.
on and talking with me with this. And I love the fact that we can have these types of conversations about things that really help people, and that's what
That's
we're
the
about.
idea. It's the idea.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. And we say it every single week. It's
Yeah.
just two guys telling you the truth. We're not sponsored by anybody. We're not beholden to anybody. This is the
Yeah.
truth from our experience. Things that
Yep.
we did right, we'll tell you to do. Things that we
Yep.
did wrong, we'll tell you not to do.
Yeah.
Whether you do it or not, again, your choice. But we're going to educate and tell you what worked for us that may trigger something that you want to do to help you. And that's the
Absolutely.
bottom line. We're here to help you.
Yep. You got it. Another great episode of
Yep.
Friday at 4 podcast series because
It's 4 o'clock somewhere.
4 o'clock somewhere. I love it.
All right.
Steve, welcome back. I'm glad we had another episode, man. We'll talk. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk
You
soon.
too. Thanks, Chuck.
Take
Take
care,
care,
buddy.
everyone. Have a great
Take
week.
care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you, man.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.